Hello everybody, welcome to my brand new movie review of the new film, The Revenant. So The Revenant is inspired by true events. It's like a Western movie. It's directed by Alejandro Inarritu and stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hardy. So again, this movie is inspired by true events. It's based on the story of fur trapper Hugh Glass, who's basically mauled by a bear and left for dead by his crew. The key member that's leaving him for dead is John Fitzgerald, which is played by Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy is the main antagonist in this film. So let's get right into it. What do I think about The Revenant? So this film has been surrounded by a lot of news for the entire year. So they started principal photography last October, and they just finished filming this movie this past September. So yes, they pretty much went a 9-month stretch of filming this movie. Why? Because the movie was extremely difficult and groundbreaking to film. That's because director Alejandro Inarritu wanted to film the entire movie in nothing but natural light. Yeah, so think about that. An entire movie in natural light, no studio lighting, you cannot control the elements whatsoever. Essentially, they spent every day rehearsing for hours and hours and hours on end, and then they only had a 90-minute window to where they got the perfect amount of sunlight in order to nail the scenes that they needed for that day. Leonardo DiCaprio described every day on set being like rehearsal for Saturday Night Live, the 90-minute window actually being an episode of Saturday Night Live, except that there was nothing funny at all. And you know what? He could not have said it better himself. There is really nothing funny about this movie. This movie is so brutal and visceral, I could not contain myself in the movie theater. So you could kind of classify this movie as a revenge story, but I think it's a little bit more than a revenge story. It's really about a man's willpower to survive against nature. Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Hugh Glass, goes through a lot, folks. I mean, he goes through a lot. Like I said, he's mauled by a bear. We see that in the trailer, and that whole entire sequence is so disturbing and so uncomfortable to watch. But folks, really, that's just the tip of the iceberg of what he has to go through in order to survive his conquest against nature. You know, Leonardo has already said multiple times that this movie was the toughest movie he's ever been a part of, and you can look at it and tell. I literally was getting cold just watching the movie myself. You know, it was filmed at several locations, but one of the primary locations was in Canada during the winter time. You can just imagine the freezing temperatures that they were able to convey on screen, but what they were actually going through, it was all about staying warm, and it was all about surviving and figuring out a way to find food and make your way through this huge, vast landscape. Not only that, there was a bloody war happening at the time between Native Americans and the people who were coming to basically conquest the land, the Americas at that time. There was a huge bloody war happening, and you also had to think about those survival tactics as well. So again, folks, this movie is rated R for a reason, but it's not like just gore for the sake of having gore. It's a true representation of what they had been going through at that time, and it's just, like I said, very bloody, very visceral, very grueling to even watch this movie. It's really a task. And we have to talk about the performances. Leonardo DiCaprio is one of the greatest actors we have going today, and he delivers one of his career best performances. Honestly, if he does not get an Academy Award off of this, I don't know what he will get it for. He had to put himself through so much just to even achieve, you know, portraying this role accurately. Tom Hardy as John Fitzgerald was a fitting antagonist to Hugh Glass. Tom Hardy, I believe, is one of the only actors in Hollywood that can really hang with DiCaprio, and he did a phenomenal job in his role. I really did dislike his character. He was really selfish, really all about himself. And then you also have the newcomers as supporting characters, Will Poulter and Domhnall Gleeson. I thought they did a phenomenal job as well. They were really two up-and-coming actors on the rise, and I thought that they did a phenomenal job. Domhnall Gleeson is having a phenomenal year. He was in Ex Machina, he was in Star Wars, and now he's in The Revenant, so he's really starting to shine. And then finally, you just have to talk about the visualization of this movie. This movie is groundbreaking for its visuals. I said it earlier that Inarritu, he wanted to film the entire movie in natural light, so just to see the gorgeous and stunning landscapes and just to see how they use natural light as an additional character in the movie is really breathtaking. Honestly, I think the only other film in 2015 that looks as beautiful as The Revenant is Mad Max Fury Road from George Miller, which also has Tom Hardy in it. It's one of the rare films where I felt like I really did still have a sense of discovery, as if I was watching something, and I was wondering, you know, how did they achieve that? How did they shoot that? And how did they make that come to life and be a possibility on screen? Because Inarritu and his crew really achieved something that was damn near impossible to shoot an entire movie in natural light, and the filming went over 9 months, and the production costs, you know, ended up going well over what they anticipated it to be, but it was all for the sake of the art, for the sake of the film, and I think this film will truly have its place in history as something that you must see in order to believe. One of my my biggest gripes about The Revenant is that I do think it runs a little bit long. Although I see where some scenes have to be drawn out in order to truly understand the weight and the gravity that's, you know, associated with these different acts and these different things that are happening, I do think they could have afforded to shave off maybe about 15 to 20 minutes of the movie. But I mean, really, other than that, I don't have any other gripes about the movie. This is one of the best movies of 2015. This is one of Leonardo DiCaprio's best efforts, and it's possibly Alejandro Inarritu's best film. It's gorgeous, it's breathtaking, it's filled with great performances, a great easy story to follow, and some very visceral and brutal action within. This all makes this film a very, very incredible experience to see in theaters. So with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and give The Revenant a 9 out of 10. Like I said, it's one of the best movies of 2015. If you have not seen it, go check it out right now in theaters. Alright folks, that's all I got for my movie review of The Revenant. As always, check me out on social media, JRW the Creator, on Twitter and Instagram. And then go check out my website, jordanrwilliams.com, for more content and reviews. And as always folks, I'll see you next time. Happy New Year.